Okay, now I want to make a video about negative racial effects in South Korea. How being a white man is actually like kind of bad in some respects. Most notably, it'll come up with cultural things. Like, I can speak basic Korean. And Lord help me, I'm saying it right. Or I'm saying it close to correctly. And sometimes Korean people just refuse to understand me. I will say basic Korean, speak very clearly, and just people are like, no, I just don't want to serve you. I don't want to help you. And at first I was thinking, like, am I saying these words right? Then I realized it's like, nah, you're just kind of being a douche to foreigners. And that only happens a couple times. I'm trying to think of a specific situation I've had. It's definitely been at some like food, like little food tents that has happened like once or twice. But yeah, and then also at a lot of like restaurants and stuff. Like, I've been at the Korean meat restaurants so many times. I know how to cook meat. A lot of times people just, the like waiters or whoever will come in and they'll like force their way onto our table and like, you know, cook our stuff for us. And I mean, I guess that's like, some people think that is extra service. But like, I had this like 2 nights ago. I was like, hey man, like, you're kind of budging your way into my little social sphere here. I'm trying to talk to my friends on the other side of the table, but I can't see them because they're like leaning over and cooking our meat, which we can do ourselves. We never asked you to do this. We can do it fine. So that's kind of a race thing. You know, he's probably like, oh, these white people don't know how to cook meat. Got to do it for them. I guess we could have told him to go away, but, you know, well, whatever. That maybe not isn't a good example of racism. But this is the big example I want to talk about. So I went to Hongdae a while back with one of my Korean buddies. Hongdae is this club bar district in Seoul. And there we saw signs on the windows and the doors of some of the restaurants and bars saying, no foreigners allowed. Koreans only. I was just like, damn. Like, that is serious racism right there. Straight up segregation South stuff. And so, you know, my friend, who's of course Korean, tried to, like, you know, question the guys at the door, be like, hey, this is my friend, he can speak a little Korean, he's not going to be any trouble, can you let him in? They said, no, it's our policy, no foreigners allowed, not even your friend. And so naturally I was really, you know, offended. And I looked into it, and recently that area of Seoul, they had a lot of problems with U.S. soldiers who would go there, get drunk, start fights, and that is why they said no white people allowed. But it's like, man, you know, there's the amount of U.S. soldiers is actually kind of a minority compared to, you know, all the foreigners who are in Korea who are doing business or studying or teaching. So I think that's really offensive to me. I think that's a terrible thing about Korea. Like, you know, I want to file a formal complaint with the Korean service, whatever it is, and be like, hey, this is racist stuff. You know, you don't see us doing that in America anymore. So that was my big issue. And then also, I mentioned before, sometimes cab drivers like me, sometimes they don't like me. Sometimes I'll be waiting on the side of the road, trying to flag a cab down, you know, see it's got its service light on. Like, hey, cab, pull over. It'll just drive right past me. Or sometimes it'll, like, slow up and then just shoo away once it gets a look at my white face. That's kind of rare, though. But it still does happen. And it's still like, wow, this was a racially motivated thing. So, I think if you were to ask me overall, is there more positive racism or more negative racism? I would say a little bit more positive. But, I mean, when there's, like, negative racism, it's just, yeah, it really just stands out in your mind. Like, you know, when I got refused at the door at that one Hongdae bar, I was like, wow, you know, this never happened to me before in my life. And it was a really eye-opening experience to be denied simply because of your race. You know, I had money, I was dressed nice and everything, and they just didn't serve me. So it's kind of messed up. But, well, that's what you get for living in a very tight, cultured country. Korea's still opening up, and I hope over the next decades or however long it'll take that Korea will eventually become a totally, race-free, racial identity-free country. But it'll take a long time. So, anyway, peace out.